story for you today called The Three Blind Men and the Elephant. Long ago in India there lived an elephant, and he lived happily in a beautiful garden in a lovely part of India. And he lived in this garden happily munching on the leaves that surrounded the garden. He would munch, munch, munch all day long. Can you munch on some of those leaves with me?
Munch, munch, munch.
And this elephant, knowing he was so happy and so lucky to live in this beautiful garden, he would call out, almost sounding like a trumpet. Boom, boom, boom. Can you call out like a trumpet with me?
Boom, boom, boom.
And in this area of India, there happened to be 3 blind men that were sitting on a street corner, and they heard this noise, and they said to one another, what could that noise be coming from? We should investigate this. So the 3 blind men stood up and started walking towards where they thought they heard this noise coming. And the elephant stood happily munching as the blind men approached. They finally arrived, and one of the blind men said, you know, I think I've heard that sound before, and I think I've heard that it's come from something called an elephant. And the second blind man said to the first, well, what exactly is an elephant? And the first blind man said, I don't really know, it's just what I've heard. So they said, we should investigate this and find out what this elephant is. So the first blind man volunteers and says, I will be the one to investigate. He holds out his fingertips, he takes a few steps forward until he's touching a part of the elephant. He's touching the rear of the elephant and reaches out and feels the tail. And he describes it to the other 2 men and says, well, this elephant, it feels like a rope. An elephant must be a rope. And the second blind man says, well, I want to feel this for myself. I want to investigate it. So he reaches out his fingertips and he takes a few steps forward until he's touching the head of the elephant. And he reaches and feels the ear, big and wide and strong and sturdy. And he says, this isn't a rope at all. This feels like a rug. It's wide and heavy. And the third blind man says, well, this elephant can't be both a rope and a rug. I need to find out for myself what this elephant is. So he reaches out his hands and he takes a few steps forward until he's touching the leg of the elephant. And he reaches around at the strong, sturdy circular of the leg. And he says, you're both wrong. It's not, in fact, a rope or a rug. This is a pillar. It is strong and sturdy. And the 3 blind men are yelling at each other. And one is yelling, this is a rope. And one is yelling, it's a rug. And one is yelling, no, it's a pillar. And they're all so stubborn that their opinion is the correct one. They're yelling at each other and fighting. The yelling turns to physical fighting, and they're punching each other and saying, no, you are wrong. And they're so stubborn that their opinion is the correct one. But the elephant stands there happily munching, munch, munch, munch. And he knows he is, in fact, all 3 of those things combined. But he stands content and completely undefined by the 3 stubborn men.